Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning on a Tuesday edition. And we are going to be joined here in just a second by our good friend from the Buddy Martin Show, good old Buddy Martin. Second portion of the program today, we'll be joined by former Florida State running back, Dexter Carter. We'll talk about his career, won a Super Bowl with the 49ers, and also played and coached with Coach Bobby Bowden. But in the meantime, we're going to head on over to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by Buddy Martin. You can listen to him Monday through Friday on Facebook Live about 9 p.m. Eastern time. He's a late night talk show host. Buddy Martin, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. How you doing? Late night. Yeah, I'm getting off by the time you're going to bed. But yeah, it was a good show last night. Good to have you on. Plenty to talk about, but I tell you this day and time. And now we get breaking news out of the Olympics.
Yes, Simone Biles, you just let us know that she's out with an apparent injury. We don't really know what. You hate to hear that. I right now, before I started the show here, I was watching the USA Olympic team against Japan. You know, we got 3 Gators, and shoot, they've already made plays, unbelievable defensive plays. First inning by Michelle Moultrie stealing the home run, and then Kelsey Stewart made an unbelievable play in the field as well. So 3 Gators there looking to get a gold medal. Buddy, I got to ask you this. This always comes into my head every time the Olympics comes around. Mm-hmm. And you're a wise old man. You've covered Olympics. Explain this to me, please. So Japan, their uniforms say Japan, Japan. Why don't they use their language on their uniforms? Not just them, but other countries. Why does everybody put the English name on their jersey? Got an answer for me?
TV, probably. So I don't know the reason why, Shane, but you're a uniform guy. I figured you could probably handle that.
Well, no, it's not so much a uniform. They don't, I guarantee you half those girls that on that Japan team, they may speak a little bit of English.
Yeah.
But I just don't know why they don't have those symbols or whatever their language is called.
I don't know. That's a great question. Yeah, have to ask our Olympics expert. Oh, wait, that's us. I don't know why that is. I'm still upset about the Major League All-Star uniforms, but kind of get over that right now. But so bad news for Simone Biles. I mean, the greatest of all time. You could tell something wasn't right. I watched it last night. She couldn't stick her landing. She kept falling off the land, what do you call the pad there they fall off? It just wasn't like her. She was such perfection. And she didn't look like she was really physically full of energy. And I thought to myself, I wonder what's up with her, because she doesn't seem herself. What I know and really don't know, just trying to figure it out. So what a shame to pull that work into it and get down to it. And then she made the finals in the all-around, even though she didn't do well, just because she was so much better and her degree of difficulty was so much higher. But first of all, just the athletes in general, the effort they put forth just to get there this year. Notice all the Olympic signs say Japan 2020. That was supposed to be held last year. The time they put into train, the effort they put in. And my heart goes out to them. And as my wife said, the swimmers, looking at all the Gator swimmers out there and thinking about the number of moms and dads, most likely moms, took their kids to practice every morning at 5 o'clock, hours and hours in the pool, and sort of just not really knowing for sure if they had a chance. So I'm going to say, take off my hat and say congratulations to all the effort they put in. And if this is the end for Simone Biles, thank you for a great effort performance. She represented her country well. She set the standard, and she came from a difficult situation, as she talked about only a couple of nights ago. In fact, it was actually about a year ago. She was abused. She was abused by someone, And she came out of that and did well for herself, and now she gets to her moment of glory. And she says she feels like she's an old woman, and now what is she, like 24 or 5? Because in that game, it's so much youth like swimming. So, yeah, my heart is out to those people, and even though it hasn't been a great year, there's no crowds. You said last night you're having a hard time getting into it. First of all, the Olympics is always hard to get into. It's usually like week 2. And the events I've covered a couple of them in Montreal and LA, whatever. It was always like week 2, things began to build. When you get to the track and field, it gets better. But we do have local representation in these other sports, and we mentioned a couple. Softball being one. Kelsey Stewart had a walk-off home run the other day. She might have had 2. I'm not really sure. I don't get to see much softball. And then just the swimmers that they put out at Florida, Caleb Dressel's relay team wins the gold. And was it Smith? There's a couple others. I'm not really up on the swimming part, but so the medal count will grow. I think just like football season last year, getting through it is a big deal, Shane. So if they get to these 2 weeks and represent well and nobody else gets hurt, I'll be glad for all the athletes and all the representation.
Yeah, swimming, Caleb Driscoll, he anchored the gold medal relay team.
Right.
The 17. John says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mountain Law. The 17-year-old from Alaska won the gold medal.
Yeah, how about that?
She can go back to high school as a gold medal winner. It was pretty cool watching her whole.
It was cool, wasn't it?
Gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right though. I mean, it's crazy how these athletes for the compete in the Olympics. I mean, they put so many years of hard work and time into it, and then bam, it could be gone in a second. And I was watching the softball. They're not having the next Olympic Games. They're not having baseball and softball. I don't understand the International Olympic Committee, how they decide on when and why they have sports, but I don't quite understand it at all. So anyway, buddy,
or do I? I don't either, Shane. So
yeah, enough on the Olympics for now. If you want to talk about
all right,
it, we can.
Your show.
Real quick though, my man Rick always has great insight. He does a lot of research for our program. And on Facebook Live, he says the official languages of the Olympics are English and French. So maybe they are required to put the English name of your jersey on your jersey. So
okay, whatever they say. It's beyond my pay grade. Thanks, Rick, for clarifying it.
Yeah, before we get to college football, this is about on college football, and we talked about it a little bit on your show last night, buddy. Scott says on Facebook Live, I've been enjoying Shane's take on the NIL and college football because it's new and just out of the box this year. What's the latest with that? Thanks for the Facebook Live there, Scott. I talked to 2 people that are very involved in 2 major programs, football programs in the Southeastern Conference last week, buddy. Have stuff to do with the NIL. And it's kind of gone how I thought. A lot of those players aren't getting what they thought they were going to get. I'm not saying they're upset about it, but basically no one's going to put money into a player until they actually do something. So it's, I really wouldn't worry about the NIL if I was a lot of people out there, because I don't think there's a lot of money being thrown at these players.
Well, first of all, let me just say it's hard to understand. It's beyond hard, and the things we've been dealing with, and you got to have a law degree to be able to understand any of it. We're just getting used to the transfer portal, trying to figure all that out. We know we got a college football playoff of some kind. Now that's all scrambled because of what just happened with Oklahoma and Texas making the announcement they're not coming back. And then you get to things like the NIL. I found one good source for me, and I've decided I'm overwhelmed by it. So I thought, well, I'm going to just learn in small bites. The person who has helped me a lot, and I hope to have a show on it more, is Kerry Meldon of Meldon Law. And he has done some research on it. And Darren Heitner, who was a professor at Florida, he's one of the experts on it. And they've done a pretty good job of explaining. There's this organization, which I had it written down, which now has been formed for the athletes, which I think is good because all kind of mistakes can be done, come up. The problem is the connection, Shane, and you know this better than anybody. Okay, so you're going to have an agent, right? You're going to have money. Let's just say you got a deal at a local bar or a local restaurant. Gator, every school has a place where football players can sneak around and drink for free. You know that. It's always been that way. You can do things for free. In my day, it was like got free movie passes. Whoopee. That was a big deal. But the fact is that there are people, as they call them, unsavory types. It's what got Namath in trouble with Bachelor Street. Because if you're doing some things for a local bar and you're showing up and you're getting paid and getting your free drinks, and suddenly the bartender says, I know a guy who knows a guy, he needs a favor. The next thing you know, some dude shows up you don't know, he's involved, and he's trying to pass off deals. Now, I understand there are regulations, and the schools are going to try to keep track of that. Good luck on that. And so then you go down those wrong roads. The young man makes a mistake. He loses eligibility. He gets his team in trouble. NCAA, if there's one left, comes calling, etc. That's the dangerous pathway. That's what I'm concerned. That's one thing Kerry Melton talked about. The Melton people, and I'm not doing commercial here because he's your sponsor and mine both. The fact is that Jeffrey and Kerry and their group, they're the official law firm of the University of Florida. I don't know what that really means. I don't know many other places that have an official law firm, and they're going to need it. And Kerry said, I'm trying to keep the University of Florida from getting in trouble and trying to be. So they're looking for sources and information, and our job as talk show hosts is to pass that along to people. But I'm going to tell you, Shane, I'm totally confused.
Well, I'm not here to talk about the law and stuff. What I'm talking about, what I have heard is I think people thought, and maybe these athletes thought, hey, I'm going to be making thousands of dollars every time I do something. That is not the case.
Oh, pie in the sky. Yeah, I get it.
I'm hearing they're getting they're signing some autographs for certain people.
Why Shane, the quarterback for Alabama, is going to make $1 million now? Hold on.
Well, we haven't seen that. I mean, that could be taught.
Nick Saban said it.
He could, but
he did. He said it.
Okay, but we haven't heard from any other schools. Is my point. And if that kid gets benched week one at halftime when they're playing Miami for whatever reason, we'll see what happens there. But
okay.
I'm going by what I've been told by the people that oversee the NIL at a couple of different major programs.
Yeah. Okay.
Kids are getting, free food at this restaurant. They're getting, a couple $100 for X amount of autographs they've signed with the collector. But they're not getting, X amount of dollars from this car dealership or getting a free car from this guy, where we all thought that was going to happen. It ain't happening. And so, you're right. I mean, we don't know all the ins and outs, but I'm just going by what from just actual appearances and making money. And it's not what these people thought it was going to be. So,
no doubt. But by the same token, we don't know what it's going to be yet. It's still happening. And I tell you, it's a little scary. But it is what it is. It's here, so you might as well deal with it, right?
Well, the one thing is if Bryce Young is making close to $1 million, I think that is totally ridiculous for a guy that's done nothing. But think about this, buddy. He's probably going to be making more than every coach on that staff besides the defensive coordinator and the head coach.
Like in the NFL, where you played it for 14 years.
Well, the NFL, you cannot compare. That's what everybody says. When I argue with people about how the NIL can cause problems in the locker room at the collegiate level, people are like, well, so-and-so makes this amount of money in the NFL and the left tackle. No, you're slotted and you know what your value is by your positions and how you perform in the National Football League. So money is not an issue in the locker room. Now you got high school kids coming to college. And like I've told you, the example, if one receiver catches or one running back has a great game and the other one doesn't, and he's supposed to be your premier guy, I'm telling you, it's going to cause problems. Let's hope not, but it could. Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. This July, mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Buddy Martin on the Titan and More Hotline, second portion of the show, we're going to be joined by former Florida State running back, Super Bowl champion with the 49ers, Dexter Carter will be joining us, talk a little bit about his career, talk about playing for Bobby Bowden. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon, what the high school basketball player from North Carolina making close to $1 million? I'm not familiar with that. I'm not sure. Basketball players have a better chance, in my opinion, making more money this NIL than than the football players. But buddy, let's talk. You've been talking. Can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. You've been talking for years, and we got to give you credit, buddy. I think you made this happen. The expansion of college football, the SEC, the big boys, Oklahoma and Texas will be joining the SEC. It's not, are they? It's when are they going to join? I know you're excited about it because you said you wrote an article about this, 30-something years ago?
Yeah, almost 31 years ago. And not that I'm any Nostradamus or that I'm that smart, but I think I said it on my show last night, and I might have been on when I said it. I don't have any special wisdom, but it was just common sense that back in the day when the NFL was really rocking in the 80s, and I was living in New York, I had a friend that worked with me from the NCAA. He was in media. We had long conversations. That back then, Shane, there was no national champion. You actually sometimes voted. You voted sometimes before the bowl games were played. When Coach Spurrier was there, they finally really started voting after the bowls, and there was no playoff system and whatever. And it's about eyeballs and TV. Anybody with common sense, how do you get paid? People watch. Sponsor, you get money, and you got the NFL all packaged slick, and it got the Super Bowl, the playoffs, all that. And over here, you got college football bowl games, and there's no logical conclusion. Coach Spurrier talked about it all the time. They ought to have a championship. Well, when we started talking about it, I don't want to give you a long answer here. It was simply this. If you had the college football package right with the playoff system, look what they could do in that dead time during December and before the bowl games, whatever. You could really take advantage of it because we want more college football. Well, it grew and the BCS came along and so on and so. And one day I sat out and said, look, let's be honest. If I had to make a list of teams I wanted to see play on TV, I really wanted to see. And I come down to anywhere from 65 to 80 teams I think I'd want to see. All right, let's put them on a list over here and say, all right, now how do we get them to all package it and play for the big boy football and have big games? Get away from these stupid cream puff games, the schedules that involves the what was then called Division II and money grabs and what have you. Make them play and make them earn their spot on TV and pay them well. I didn't see all the rest of this stuff coming like we're seeing now, but that was the idea. And I made a list and I went through it and I wrote about it. And I still say there's a real good possibility and I have no idea what they're going to do, is that if you look at, let's just take a number, top 70 teams or top 64, whatever. You put and split them, let's like basketball, do regions, do 4 regions, do alliances with conferences. So let's say the ACC and the SEC have an alliance, whatever. And you do this across the board, and maybe you wind up with 5 because you might have an at-large with Notre Dame and the academies, whatever. And then you take that system, Shane, and you figure out how to play for the championship just like basketball. After all, Shane, that's what they modeled this after. This whole thing was modeled after basketball. Go ahead and do it, make the decisions. Then you got 16-team conferences, and you can make it work. You can play it down, and you say, oh, wait a minute, it's too much football. We talked about this last night. You said, no, it's not. Because in the end, you could drop one of those powder puff games. Get rid of those games that don't mean anything. And you don't need the money that you're making off these kids. And you'll say to me, or somebody say, well, but it's great for other schools. Fine, let the schools go play for their own championship, and do that, have their own deal. So that's where I am. We've seen the first couple of let's say swallows this spring. We now have it on us. It's going to happen. You said when. We know 2025 is going to be the year they have to renew the TV contracts. It's going to be, in my opinion, it'll be before then, because they're already talking about how to buy it out. And the buyouts of Texas and Oklahoma and the Big 12 alone are 75 or 76 million apiece. So the buyouts can happen. They can do this in 3 years. They can get it done. Will they? I don't know. But that's the direction we're going, and I'll be relieved, but I'm holding my breath because it could be a little scary, and it could be not good for football, just like NIL could be not good for football. I hope it's still going to be a game in the next 20 years.
Yeah. I think for some reason, I think Texas and Oklahoma are going to join sooner rather than later.
I don't disagree with you.
We got a couple of Facebook Lives here. They were referring to that North Carolina basketball player named Mikey Williams.
I heard that name.
Says he has a massive social media following, more than 5 million followers across multiple platforms.
He's in high school, isn't he?
He's either going to North Carolina or he's still.
Yeah, he's not. I think he's still in high school.
But here's my thing, buddy. And I still have a hard time believing he's going to make that kind of money. Now, North Carolina is the only school that I do know of that has a deal with all their former athletes where they can produce uniforms and get kickbacks and all this stuff. But until somebody sits there, and they probably won't tell us this, that Mikey Williams, I don't care if he's got 5 million followers or not, that I want to see what company is throwing money at him and what this contract is all about. Because, buddy, you can sit here and tell me that you're going to give me a huge deal to promote Gator Bait magazine or Gator Bait online. Okay? That could be a free subscription. That could be free T-shirts. We don't know what your deal is you're giving me, right?
Right.
So until we see this, that's why, I'm not questioning it, but, I still have a hard time believing that I don't care how many media followers he has. I want to see what company is giving him X amount of dollars before he's even played one game in North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, let me simplify it for you, Shane. It took some of us a little longer to get on Twitter than others, and what have you, do social media. Social media is where it's at right now. It is, and listen, it's not just you or me, it's the corporations. They want someone who's got who's called an influencer, has a high number of people following him, and that's how you make your money, like whoever Mikey Williams is. Look, it's going to be less like your show. If you got 300,000 listeners at night, Freddie Weaver's is going to start charging more for your show. That's the social media is the new game changer, and that's because there are people out there, young people, who are on that at an early age. Why shouldn't they make money? They're making it now on social media, and if I'm going to go advertise, if I'm, say, Coca-Cola, and I want to get visibility and I want to get into the college game, why wouldn't I go find someone like Spencer Rattler or whatever, and sign him up? Because maybe Coca-Cola is great in Oklahoma. I don't know. So it's a numbers game. It's simply social media has opened all this up. Among the other things that have been changed, as we know, name, image, likeness, playoff system, et cetera, et cetera. It's the social media is the key to the Bucks.
I agree. But again, why in the hell would any business owner give money?
Because it gives them business. It gives them business.
Who hasn't done a dang thing? And just because you're a top-rated player doesn't mean you're going to be worth their damn at the next level. That's my point. I have a hard time. I don't care if Buddy Martin has 800 million followers and Buddy Martin has not played a lick of whatever your sport is at the next level. Why? You may never play another down.
Well, let me give it to you like this. Let me say it to you like this. When Michael Jordan left North Carolina, why did the shoe companies all give these big contracts? Before he played a game in the NBA?
Well, he was like the national player of the year in college.
Yeah, I understand that, but he also was. Yeah, but they didn't know what he's going to do in the NBA. He wasn't even drafted number one. He was.
He had already performed at a high level. We're talking about high school kids how many kids come out of high school that are bust? And Dan says here on Facebook Live, Fonbaum had a guest on that specialized in NIL, and most players are getting free small things. Like I told you that the two so-called the people that are involved with the major programs, and you're just hearing about these huge deals. That's my point. Until we actually see somebody actually get a bunch of money, I just maybe I'm living in a.
Yeah, Shane, you're an old fuddy-duddy. You told me the old man. You're the old man. You got to start thinking differently.
I do, but my point is, I don't care if I'm the richest man in the world, and so is coming out of high school. Yeah, I may think and project, or the experts may think, but until he does something.
Okay, I get you, and I understand what you're saying. But let's take some players. Two of the two or three most exciting players in college football that you know of. Name me a couple of them.
Well, I have no problem with Spencer Rattler. He got a deal from what's the chicken place out of Baton Rouge? I forgot the name of it. But we don't know what Spencer Rattler's getting from. It's Raising Cane's. I was like, we don't know what he's getting. But we haven't seen the contract. he may be getting free food for a year. Take my lineman to Raising Cane's twice a week.
Or he may be making 7 figures like to Alabama's quarterback.
Well, don't you think that they would have announced that? And
not necessarily. I don't know.
You don't think that Lincoln Riley would be saying, "Come be my quarterback. You're going to get 7
It's not. It isn't really his place. It's private business. University. Nick Saban trumpeted it for sure.
Right.
Why? Because he was in Texas. He would choose Texas quarterbacks. He was speaking in Houston, and he wanted to get a little gig in there and say, "Hey, come to my school and be a $1 million quarterback." So it's going to be used that way.
And Jeff says, meanwhile, Georgia's still paying recruits under the table.
Well, I love Jimbo Fisher's comment. When he said, "Name, image, and likeness have been around for a long time. We're just hearing about it. They're just admitting they're doing it now."
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, look, we could get hold to do a whole show on that, and the rampant cheating has gone on for years, and it's and this in that way it does bring it more out in the open. I'll say that.
Yeah, no question. If you got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Call today, QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. A few more minutes with the great Buddy Martin here on the Titan line. We got Dexter Carter coming up shortly. Yeah, Buddy, you and I can go back and forth about this NIL for a long time because I would love for Buddy Martin, like if you had X amount of dollars to promote Gator Bait magazine, is there anybody that you would give that money, throw that money at?
Yeah, Tim Tebow.
Well, he don't play anymore.
You didn't say that. You said I said yeah.
I'm talking about currently
playing
or high school athlete. Is there somebody in Ocala?
Depends on where I am.
Senior that at Trinity Catholic or Vanguard or somewhere that. Buddy,
I don't know if I go to the high school level. No. But I would have to think about who the great players are and think, what's the visibility? There's certain people, they don't have that Tim Tebow powerhouse that you got, that name. Remember that day they mentioned his name on ESPN like 52 times the whole day long, and they'll never be another Tebow around. But I mean, if I'm in college football and I'm selling something that's college football players consume and they don't read Gator Base, so that wouldn't help me that much. I don't know that my listeners, and you got a couple of them online right now.
But if X player has 8 million followers,
yeah,
you're going to promote. You're going to pay.
Well, just like the guy, just like Lucci out in Texas A&M, who signed those 2 players for $10,000 apiece. He was on the Feinbaum show and he explained it really well. He had sponsors that came to him. Said, we'll pay the money if you'll get them. So the sponsors paid the money, and Lucci signed them up, and part of the deal is they're going to give them exclusives. That's a dangerous thing.
Well, I read about that. There's 2 players, Isaiah Spiller and one other guy getting 10 Manny. Here's what I don't understand, buddy. Because whatever interviews they give to what is it, ag.com? I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, the Aggie website. It's good. They have a lot of followers.
My point is, do you really think as a media guy, you're going to get those 2 players to give you anything more than what they're going to give on their daily or weekly press conference?
They better.
They're not going to.
They better. Of course they're going to. They're going to have to spill the beans. They're
going to stir the pot at A&M.
Well, they're going to tell you what's going on behind the scenes. And the coaches, going to try to stop it. But, yes, I do think they will give more because they're getting paid. Whilst they're being paid. That's the game they're playing.
They also realize I'm part of that team, and I'm not going to do anything to disturb that locker room.
We'll see.
To see how that happens.
That's the big slippery slope. Would I pay if I had the money? Would I pay Dan Mullen $50,000? Yeah, I would. Because my listeners and viewers and readers would love to hear exclusives, but he's not going to sign a deal like that, and he can't. It's here. I don't know how it's going to be managed. Let's be honest. The management of the NIL thing is a nightmare. Okay, you can talk about legions of lawyers and agents, like someone said, well, put a bunch of agents and lawyers in a room, nothing, what could possibly go wrong? I said, that's the way it goes. So I don't know the answers, but Shane, just think of the things we talk about today. This cataclysmic change in college football. Never in my lifetime. we've had more change in the last 18 months than all my half of a century of covering sports put together. It's just a different time, a different game. I'm trying to understand it. It's really foreign to me. I'm the old guy, not you, but you act like the old guy.
Yeah, well, a lot has changed. I'm not really concerned about the NIL as I was initially.
What are you concerned about?
Huh? My biggest concern is the locker room. You heard Gene Chizik.
Well, you're a coach. You have a coach's mentality.
But I've been in locker rooms.
That's okay. I'm just saying, but I get it. Players and coaches have a different view. I understand that. I respect it. I'm just saying it's different. In my mind, the locker room doesn't rule everything, but when you have a team and you have a bond and that's where you're bonding, I get it. I've been around it my whole life. I haven't played it as much as you have, but I get it. But that day is over. The locker room is not going to completely quell everything that goes on. There are many, many, many distractions. That word that coaches love to use.
Yeah, but this deal is going to cause some problems. All right, buddy. Before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on This Day in Sports, brought to you by Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring team members with all levels of experience. Great culture and benefits, a $1,000 signing bonus for qualified positions. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2368. This Day in Sports, in 1993, the NBC was awarded the 96 Olympic coverage for $456 million. What do you think they paid this year for it? And the ratings are horrible.
Well, there's still some stuff on there. I don't know, billion. I don't know. A lot, obviously, because it goes on prime time every night for 2 weeks. You know, it's the value. I don't know the answer. I'm not good at money, but you're right. That seemed like a lot of money at the time, didn't it?
Well, yeah, I'm just curious. I saw that, and I was curious what they possibly.
I bet Edmund could probably Google that for you and find out. Let me say real quick before you go, Shane, if I may. By the way, you're not mad at me, are you?
Why would I be mad at you?
Because you act like you're kind of ticked off at me. I saw your neck get a little bit red.
I could be 100% wrong here, but I just don't see many athletes getting these big.
You could be right too. You could be right. I don't know. It's a topic of debate. That's why we're talking about it on the show. I don't know. I want to say shout out about a man who passed, who a lot of people know in Gainesville. A lot of former players know. He was a great high school coach, and I know you appreciate that. David Hurst was Stark. When I was actually covering high school sports with the Gainesville Sun, Dave was an assistant coach up in Stark at Bradford. They had some great teams. The first time I ever saw the great Larry Dupree, he came in and played against Stark that night, scored 4 touchdowns. He was playing for Clay County. But David Hurst was a wonderful coach, a wonderful man. Shane, he saw you practice probably 100 times. He went to every practice he could ever go to in Florida. It was high school, won state championships. So just RIP to the folks up in Bradford County and to the great David Hurst.
No doubt about it. Well said, buddy. We're going to let you go, my man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Shane.
All right, that's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take a quick timeout, come back, be joined by former Florida State running back Dexter Carter. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Le Macaron French Pastries, Palmetto Moon, and coming August 11th of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visors Tailgate and Rooftop Bar. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. Now we're going to go to the Titan and More Hotline, and we're joined by a guy who did a lot of celebrating against the Gators until the head ball coach came along, and then we had a little better success against them. But Dexter Carter, former running back for the Semis. Good morning, Dexter. How are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm good, man. Even though I got up for a Gator at 7:30 to be on here because I'm, this is right before my kids go back to school. So we came here to Music City, USA, to Nashville. So, wow. There are some late nights downtown. Nashville. So we've had a good time, but I got up for you, my man.
I appreciate it, man. Nashville's one of my favorite cities.
Yeah, definitely, man. Now I got to get used to looking at that Gator in the back, but you know what? I'm going to try to make it work.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Hey, real quick, I like to when they bring former athletes on here, what made you choose Florida State, and what other schools did you think about going to?
Well, I tell you what, Florida State chose me. Well, I chose them, then they chose me. Interesting story. I'm a South Georgia boy. Mm-hmm. And I still remember when I was in high school and the Gators playing the Bulldogs in Jacksonville, and Buck Bellew hit Lindsey Scott for that long touchdown to beat the Gators. Reminded me of my freshman year at Florida State when Kerwin Bell hit Ricky Nattil in the last couple of minutes to beat us. That was the only time the Gators beat us, by the way, but during my 4-year stay. But anyway, to answer your question, after my junior year in high school, I had just rushed for 1,800 yards rushing and at 160, 65 pounds. And, I was a Bulldog fan. I got some letters from Alabama, Florida, but never an offer. It wasn't anything serious. So the summer after my junior year, I went to my running back coach, head baseball coach, and told him I wanted to go to a football camp. I had never heard of Florida State, and he only came back with one application. It was Florida State. So I went up there for a 3-day camp. They signed about 8 of us out of that class. Leroy Butler, Ronald Lewis was a part of that group. And after 3 days, he called me to the office, had never heard of me, and I didn't even know who they were. And he said, hey, buddy, never heard of you, but we like what we saw, and we're going to offer you a scholarship. And, hey, he had me at hello. I love the campus, and it was just a marriage made in heaven, and that's how it went, man.
Yeah. So obviously you play for Coach Bobby Bowden, and we all know what's going on with Coach right now. But just he had a tremendous career there with Florida State. And I think you've coached as well. Coaches have great relationships with their players for the most part. Coaching's all about developing young men and seeing how they have success in life. Just talk a little bit about what it was like playing for Coach Bobby Bowden.
Well, you know what? The fortunate thing is, as you stated, I'm one of the maybe 3 or 4 coaches that have had former players that had a chance to coach with and for Coach Bowden. And very, very fortunate because, one, only Bobby Bowden probably would have hired me being a former player, because it doesn't happen a whole lot, but I was fortunate. And he hired me because of what he felt about me as a player. And I remember when I was conversing with him about coaching. He said, "You know what, Dexter, I'm not bringing you here for the X's and O's." He said, I know you know those. He said, "I'm bringing here because of the man you are and the impact that I know you can have on these young men." And that was it. I mean, he brought me into Division I college coaching with that statement. And, I thank him today for giving me that experience. But it was the same thing that he sat there in my mom and dad's living room and talked to me about before I even knew anything about college. And everything that he stated that he was going to do, he did. He said, "You know what? I'm going to love them when they need to be loved, and I'm going to scold them when they need to be scolded." He said, "Because my job is to develop young men on and off the field and let them prioritize life, football, and their spiritual life." And he was exactly who he said he was going to be.
Hey, Chris Doering Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doering Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Got Dexter Carter, former Florida State Seminole, on the Titan Moore hotline. We got a Facebook Live question here for you. I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, Dexter. I think you were still playing pro ball at this time. Andre asked, did it surprise you when Charlie Ward started ahead of Kenny Felder at the quarterback position? Did anybody see that coming?
Actually, no, it didn't, because interestingly, I was a senior in 1989. That was the year we finished 2 or 3 in the country, beat Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. And Charlie was a freshman. Charlie was our starting punter as a freshman. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, I love Brad Johnson, who was there. I love Casey Weldon, who was there. And I love Peter Tom Willis, who was there. But Charlie, as a freshman, could have started. But at that time, Coach Bowden, those other guys were good, don't get me wrong. But Coach Bowden, when it was your time, he started you. You know what I'm saying? If you were a senior and you were good, you started. But Charlie, I remember, Charlie came over from TCU after spending a year at TCU. And he went through the spring with us. And I remember Charlie was the starting quarterback for the team that went against the first team defense. Charlie ate them up, or ate us up. I'm talking about, Coach had to put him down at halftime because they couldn't stop him.
Wow.
So I believe Charlie could have easily started if that's what the decision was. As I said, it's nothing against those other great quarterbacks, but it didn't surprise me when Charlie finally got his opportunity. What I'm happy about is when he did get his opportunity, the coaches figured it out, what best worked for him. And as you know, the deal first game, and he threw all those interceptions or whatever. But when they put him back there in that gun where he could see everything, he lit it up. So no, it didn't surprise me because I'm a Georgia boy. I knew Charlie in high school, and I know what he did against Appling County, who I played against. Who I played for. I knew it was just only a matter of time. What surprised me about Charlie was the basketball career he had. I knew he was good, but I did not know he was going to play like that in the NBA.
Yeah, and he's a good dude. There's no question about it. Dexter, when you look back at your career, if the format was like it is now back when you played, I mean, Florida State probably would have been in the 14 playoff every year. Just talk about how devastating some of those losses were. Basically, it seemed like it was to Miami every year, right?
It was. It was not the wide lefts and wide rights, but it was the my freshman year, the Vinny Testaverde, because we lost to you guys our freshman year, then beat them my junior through senior year. Miami was vice versa. Couldn't get past them my freshman, sophomore, and junior years, but then we beat them my senior year. So it was hard getting past Miami, and it was always, other than my sophomore year, my junior year, which was Deion Sanders' senior year, we went in preseason number 1, and the games was supposed to be the 6th game of the season, but because it was so hyped, they moved it to the first game of the season. Mm-hmm. That was not good for us. and they ended up beating us in Miami 31-0. So that was a real tough loss. But it was tough, man. When we looked in the mirror, no disrespect to Florida, but when we looked in the mirror, we saw the swag. We saw the way we were built, more like Miami. So losing to them was hard because we saw ourselves in them. But Jimmy Johnson had them rolling, and then Dennis Erickson my senior year. But we were able to get them, and then they still win the national championship. We beat them, but unfortunately, that was the year everybody was introduced to Brett Favre. First game of the season, we played in Jacksonville, and Brett Favre, beat us by a few points.
Speaking of your pro career, you had a great career at Florida State. You were a first-round draft pick by the 49ers. You go there, you get a chance to win a Super Bowl. Just talk a little bit about you were a smaller type back. And I'm just curious from a physicality standpoint, how's your body holding up now? And just I don't think people realize in the National Football League how violent it is, and the hits that running backs and linebackers, the collisions. How did you survive those hits?
If I can take, it's probably going to be about 5 minutes if I can create a synopsis here. I played at Florida State and in the NFL at 170 pounds. And the 49ers, in my opinion, they had just come off of back-to-back Super Bowls. So they were really drafting a luxury. They had Roger Craig, they had Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice, John Taylor out here. So they really had everything that they needed. But I'm going to tell you what I did. I remember when the season was over, we were, you were a little younger, but we were a majority passing team. So my senior year, I finished with, my whole career, I was a 5.5 yard average, but I finished with like 680 yards rushing my senior year. So I was a projected 3rd through 5th round draft pick. But what happened is I was able to be exposed to the combine, exposed to the Senior Bowl, and they were able to see what Florida State already knew, which was I was a heck of a blocker. I squatted 700 pounds at Florida State. So I had good leverage. I could block. I could catch out of the backfield. I remember Coach Bowden said, you know what? Dexter could do it all. He could run. He could catch. He could return punts, kicks, but he just wasn't very big. But when I got to the Senior Bowl, I had the most perfect coach in my eyes after the fact, Buddy Ryan. Because Buddy Ryan, we were playing against Marty Schottenheimer and the North team. They never hit in practice all week. And if I'd have done that, I would have been a 3rd through 5th round draft pick. But Buddy Ryan liked to hit. And he allowed me to block. He allowed me to run between the tackles. So he allowed me to show what Florida State already and my high school already knew. So all these executives and coaches around during the week, they saw me breaking long runs against when we were tackling in practice. And then I started in the Senior Bowl, and I had like 8 carries for 64 yards, 8 yards a carry. And so they were able to see, and I got most outstanding offensive player on the South team. So they were able to see something that they didn't think I could do. So then I go to the combine, and I was the fastest running back in the combine, ran a 4.34, vertical jump 38. And next thing you know, the defending that Super Bowl champs drafted me in the 1st round. So a lot of expectations were there. See, because when you go in the 1st round, people think you're going to be a Pro Bowl and all this. But see, that's not what the 49ers drafted me for. They literally drafted me to be their return specialist and maybe 3rd down. But if you notice that West Coast offense, they don't have no 3rd down back. They have Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Brent Jones, and, Roger Craig.
Yeah.
But I was able to lead the team in rushing my rookie year, but that was unexpected. So that kind of put an unexpected expectation on what they thought the 49ers were going to use me for. But they didn't draft me to be a starter and all that. But I was fortunate. I started 2 years and then fell into punt and kick return. And after 6 years, 50th anniversary of the 49ers, they voted me on the 50th anniversary modern era all-time team. So I think I gave them what they asked for. You know what I'm saying? I think I gave them more, so at 170 pounds, heck, I look at guys that remind me of me. If I played in today's system, I would be more like an Alvin Kamara or now they're great now, don't get me wrong. Or what's my guy for the Carolina Panthers who is
Christian
exceptional? McCaffrey. I think I would flourish in today's system at 170 pounds, even though those guys are like 195, 200. But I thank God for what he blessed me to do with the ability he gave me and the size that I was. Coach Bowden was a perfect guy to expose me and give me the opportunity to play with some great guys, great teams, and have a chance to have a career and change my life, man.
Before we let you go, Dexter, I believe you have a son that's playing at Georgia Southern, right? Is he a running back?
Yeah, no, he's a receiver, and Georgia Southern doesn't throw very much. but I'm gonna tell you a quick story. Dexter came out the year he played at Bose. I'm sure you know about Bose in Jacksonville, and I coached him there too, and we went to 4 straight state championship games. All of them was against Booker T. Washington out of Miami, and we won his freshman year and runner up the next 3. Well, he was the ranked 32nd top player in Florida his senior year, and Lamar Jackson was ranked 31. So it goes to show you the kind of talent that was in Florida, and I remember, and Dexter had offers from TCU, Louisville, Auburn, North Carolina, Virginia, Duke, etc. So you wonder why he ended up at Georgia Southern. Well, this first radio show I've told this story on, Shane, his junior year, Jimbo Fisher. You can't tell a legacy kid this. That's like telling your Spurrier at Florida, telling your kid this. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna get you here, I promise." And he never offered him. But mentally, Dexter had already checked out and was a Florida State Seminole. And you can't do that to Gus Malzahn and Auburn and all these other coaches, you know what I'm saying? Because they're when they recruit you, they're recruiting for guys just like you. And if you're not answering the phone or you're not talking to them, you're done, just being honest. But he ended up at Georgia Southern, and at the end of the day, I told him, "Son, if you're good, they'll find you." And, I think he's got the talent, and we'll see what happens. But I'm so proud of him. And, but I got 2 middle school boys too now, 1 7th and 1 8th. They're coming up too, man. They're coming up.
That's awesome. Well, man, hey, we appreciate you taking time. I know you're on a family vacation. We really appreciate it. We don't have many Seminoles on this show, but we have, y'all are some good guys. I think I told you earlier, Buckley, McCorvey. I actually had Coach Bowden probably about this time last year on the program. So appreciate you taking the time, Dexter. Good luck to you and your sons and the rest of your family, and we'll be in touch, my man.
Thank you so much, man. Wishing you and your family the best too. And we got to get out there on those links one day.
Sounds good. That's Dexter Carter. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Hope you enjoy today's show. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Today's show's a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. Take care, folks.